Lego ships are meant to sail, not settle. So how do you turn an iconic Lego ship like this into a Lego house that's fit for a vertical city? I don't know, but we're about to try. Morning light broke over the bay, and with it came the sound of work. The settlers had made a decision. The Going Merry would not sail again. Plank by plank, they began to dismantle her, careful not to waste a single piece. Every strike of the hammer felt like a farewell, yet also a beginning. The old ship had carried them there, but now her timbers would carry their future. By noon, the deck was gone, the mast laid in the sand, and the bay echoed with the rhythm of rebuilding. Okay, we got in just in time. And as you can hear it, started pouring with rain. Okay, what's left of our Going Merry is in this box. I've left some main pieces out that were there that I just like the look of. So things like our sail, things like that. I've left them there. Some interesting pieces just to help us remember what it looked like. So this is going to be our first building. And the first thing we want to do is we want to try and keep it reasonably simple. This is a simple settlement. It would have started quite simply. So I've just taken some 8x16 plates here, put them together to make a 16x16. I want to keep the build quite small. It's tempting to start misaligning it to create an interesting shape for the base, but ultimately we want to keep it manageable. Okay? It can be a bit intimidating if you get a bit big. All right. So to begin with, I think, given that the settlers don't know the layout of the land, they would have initially set down some stones just to get that foundation in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run along the outside of this with some dark bluish grey initially. And my Going Merry actually includes quite a few of those, so I'll take some of them out of that. And eventually what I'll do is I will put this on mills plates. But for now, I'm just wanting to see what the layout of the building will actually look like. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure it straps these two together so we get one consistent plate out of our 8x16s. There we go, just like that. Where it needs filled in, I'm just going to use two because why not? These are pieces that I happen to have lying around, so we might as well use them. So now I've got this surround. Now, this, like I said, will be on mills plates eventually. But what we want to do is to start trying to make this so that it's got steps up into it, onto another deck, and then perhaps from there into the main building floor. So this isn't the building floor, this is the bottom, if you like, or sorry, the top of our mills plate. I'm initially actually going to put the steps of the Going Merry on there. These came out of the Going Merry. They were some of the steps, and we're going to reuse them. A little bit of an homage to it. I'm going to put in some stonework here, because I think there needs to be a little bit of stonework. I've seen this technique somewhere. I want to try it. Let's see if it works. So you take a modified plate with the rounds on it, and then the idea is you take one of your switches, light bluish grey. I've seen this a long time ago, so I can't remember where I seen it, unfortunately. And you take, when you pull it, that will separate, and you're left with this little sort of half brick. It's quite cool. And that there just pops on there, on that side. You take another one and pop it onto there. And then what you're left with is this very cool little sort of sandbaggy style stone, if you like. So I'm going to use those going around. So I'm just going to put them there, one there, and I'm going to put them, alternate them so that they're on every other one for now. And I'll leave this part blank because obviously this is the steps and we don't want to stone over them. So now in between, you can fill them if you want. I'm not going to bother just because I don't want to waste up our parts there, but you can feel free to fill them up just to make it stronger. I'm instead just going to put something over the top of it to allow me to put the next layer on, because that doesn't directly fit on. I reckon that works for now. Now I may get rid of these end pieces, but for now I'm just going to leave them. I just like the sort of brick look of that. What do you think? We'll maybe cage them in a little bit. But yeah. So that'll lead nicely up to sort of platform area here that we can use. Maybe set something there. Think of like a walking on deck, and then you're going into the building. Now I just want to build up the sides so that I can put this deck area on like this. I may put some detail work on this. So I think I'll use some snot pieces on the side. Snot's always good because you can attach tiles along the side of it. I'm going to build this up a little bit more. And you can see it, look how, if you keep this all one dark gray, it's going to look very uniform. I wonder if I shouldn't chop it up a little bit. You know what, I'll leave it like that for now. So a lot more dark grey in that going Mary than I thought. This is working out for us. So I've put the log profile pieces around that. And I've actually just put some brown. These are reddish brown, but I've put some brown in there as well, just to try and break it up a little bit. And I've left the corners thinking they would need to be like anchor supports. And you know what would be really nice? I don't know if we have any. Let's see in the going Mary if there's any of those 2x2 round bricks. Oh, look at this. We're in luck. Just in the corners there. I'm just going to put those on there at the back, just for a wee bit of difference. So what I'm doing is just putting a little bit of these snot bricks on there. I don't know why, but I think they might be nice to add detail shortly. Just try your best, see what turns out. I think the last bit is just to get some detail in here, or this bit here needs pulled up. I think that will work, and I've got to build this up, this little piece here. So let's get another piece on there. Don't be afraid to just walk away if it's not working. Just have a wee cup of tea or coffee. Come back, have a look at it. Fresh pair of eyes does the wonder sometimes. Let's see if this is going to work out here. I'm not sure about this front section. It's going to be interesting. You know what might look better is to have it actually overhang that, the slightest bit there. It will create a problem down the line because it now means that this is going to overhang by one stud more. But I like the look of it, so let's just do it. Then we can put a guardrail on this, I think, and we can use some of the ship's existing guardrails for that. So if we do something like this. Okay, I was able to keep these bricks down here, this bit, so that it sinks down in there, and we're going to have to do something about this, but for now, I like this effect. You need some balustrades or something coming up there. I'm just going to use these hinge pieces. There's one hinge. I'm trying to find where the other one might be. You know what? Let's just put it on there. I reckon we can put that into that little stud on this not on top piece there. Something like that. I've just put one of the hinge pieces on there and a flat piece. Let's just create a little sort of balustrade that roughly mimics the Going Merry ship, which we like. We want to keep some sense of the Going Merry in there. And one of the problems is that the Going Merry doesn't have a great many deal of bricks. So I've just taken some of my 2x4s just to build up some height internally. So now we've got the floor. The next thing I like to look at doing is getting the front face on there, so I can start to picture how the building's going to look. Now I want to keep a ship aesthetic to this whole thing. So again, we're not finished on the front, but I think before I can see what we want to do on the front, I need to just get the front of the actual building constructed there, just like that. So let's try and keep some aspects of the Going Merry on there. See, for example, these 3 windows. I want to keep those because it reminds me of the back of the Going Merry, and it was a great little set. So while I work on that, let's check in and see what our settlers are thinking. By dusk, the stonemason had finished his work, firm foundations laid before the tide turned. The woodworkers followed, hanging the first door, raising the front wall, shaping the frame of what would soon become their home. As the light faded, they set down their tools. For the first time since landfall, there was laughter quiet, but real. They gathered what food remained from the ship, sharing it beneath the trees as the firelight danced across the half-built house. Tomorrow the work would begin again, but tonight, for the first time, it felt like life, not just survival. Okay, so now I've put on the front like this, and all I've done is use some slope pieces, some snot pieces, just to try and make the angle a little bit more interesting. If you just have a flat wall, it's not very interesting, but it certainly looks like a ship. Now, something here is going to have to happen. I'm thinking something a bit around the side, a bit like this, but like I said, these MOCs often take a lot longer than you think. I think we'll leave it off there and continue and finish it next time. The plan will be for me to get the interior done, get the roof on, and just finish the outside. Hopefully by then we'll have found the other hinge piece that's somewhere in this box, but you know what it's like. What do you think? How's it looking so far? Think it's looking like something our settlers might have built out of a ship? You might be able to hear how the rain's really starting to lash it down now. Luckily our settlers have that little campfire. Thanks for building with us today. Stay dry and play well.